Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Aranthea's Awakening. This is session 1, where we finally get to have the whole party. To my immediate right, we have our good buddy Kyle. Kyle, how you doing?
Hi, I am good.
Kyle, who are you playing? For those who missed last time.
I will be playing Professor Elwin Silvermane.
Sounds like a nerd.
He is a huge nerd.
Sounds like a nerd.
He is the biggest of nerds.
And then to the right of Kyle, we have Neil. Hey, Neil, how's it going?
Hi.
Who are you playing?
I play Isla.
Who's Isla?
He's a small little kobold guy.
Sounds like a weeb. All right. And then the mobile picture that doesn't move at all to the right of Neil is Onyx. Hi, Onyx. How you doing?
Hi, that's me.
Who are you playing?
I play Zykirin, Dragonborn fighter.
I don't got anything for that one. I mean, yeah, that's pretty cool. He's alright, I guess, if you're in that sort of thing.
Guys, I'm the favorite.
Yeah, you got me. It's fucking webcam. There we go. Alright. So, let's dive into it. So last time we had a session 0 where you guys basically went through your individual stories of how you're coming together today. So, we're going to start one by one with kind of introducing you guys into the picture, starting with Zykirin. Seeing as you kind of have a head start, being that your master is the one that kind of orchestrated all this.
How nice of him to do all that without telling me anything.
Yeah, he's a very busy dwarf. And he didn't want to trouble with you with things. Words are hard.
Thank you. Appreciate it so much.
You're welcome. I mean, you're welcome. So, it's been several days since you left Tharndarim. I want to ask, because I feel it's more interesting this way. So, Zy,
yep.
You've left Tharndarim, you've left it behind you, and you are traveling towards Shayliz, which you know to be in Midwood. You have a general idea where it is, passing through Midwood as you did. What kind of route are you taking there? Are you going to be passing through Girthoth, or are you going to circumvent it?
Well, I'm real bad at directions.
That is true. That is canonically part of your backstory.
It is. And so, knowing this, and knowing that I'll get lost if I try to go anywhere, what I'm instead going to do is I'm going to follow the coast. And so I'm going to get the Shayliz through Ostermare.
So you're following the northern coast?
Yes.
Okay, I understand. I get you. Alright, I need you to do me a solid here, and give me a stealth check.
Beautiful. Crit fail. First roll of the game.
God.
Wow. Alright. First roll of the game, guys, is a nat 1.
So we're not meeting him now, right?
No, Onyx's character dies.
He just gets lost in the woods.
Okay, so for...
I'm wearing armor that gives me disadvantage. I'm sorry.
To mark the beginning of a new campaign, I thought we could give every player a D6 Bard Extreme die.
Wow. Thank you very much, Jess, for the donation of $6. To mark the beginning of a new campaign, I thought we could give every player a D6 Bard Extreme die. Alright, so that means you guys all have a D6. So that is Onyx, Neil, and Kyle.
Yeah, I'm not using that right now.
No. All three of you, thanks to Jess's generosity, have a D6 which you can use at any point.
Awesome.
The dice itself can be used after you roll, but before I say what happens. So just keep that in mind, all right?
That sounds cool.
So, Zai,
I die. The end.
During your travels, you're hugging the coast along. Oh my God, Neil.
Oh, Neil.
Going on with a great start to the campaign.
He did the one thing that you said to not do.
The one thing I said, please don't do. And he did it.
Oh, this is beautiful.
This is what Jess's money gets. Gets an instant DC from Neil. You know what? I don't even care. We're going along with it since we're focusing on you right now, Onyx.
Okay.
So, during your travels following the northern coast, trying to make your way towards Ostermeer so that you can go into Shayla's from there, you do notice that there is a much heavier military presence throughout the land. There are occasional patrols that seem to be... There he is.
I lost power.
Oh, that's good. There seem to be occasional patrols of dwarves riding through the mountains. You being familiar with the dwarves themselves and how the kingdom operates, you would recognize that the specific people that are riding around are a sect of the Bulwark known as the Ram Riders. And they're a bunch of very heavily armed dwarves that ride on dire rams.
Okay.
So imagine a ram, all right? Onyx, you especially know what a ram looks like.
A lot bigger and evil looking.
They're not evil. You know that much. You have seen them occasionally in Tharndarim. They're not evil. They're just very well trained and can be very aggressive when told to be.
Yep.
So, being that you're in the mountains, even on the coast, you do see that there is a lot of military presence from them. At one point, one of them does spot you and begin to approach. One of the lead riders, there are 3 ram riders. The lead one seems to be waving you down. They're currently about 100 feet up a slope of the mountain. It's your choice what you want to do.
I'm going to talk to them.
You're just going to wait?
Yeah, I'll even make my way towards them if I can.
All right.
They're riding rams. I can't escape from that.
Yeah. So they slowly make their way down the mountainside. The rams are adept in this kind of terrain, so for them it's very easy to climb down and kind of maintain balance. They stop roughly 15 feet away from you. All 3 of them are wielding heavy metallic-looking lances, and currently they're leveled at you, but they're not in like an aggressive manner, more so like a half circle perimeter sort of thing.
How long have I been traveling at this point?
We'll say that it's probably been like 2 days travel, being that you're trying not to... I assume you're trying not to be caught.
Or get lost.
Or
right.
Get lost. You have been traveling at a slower pace than is normal.
That is fine.
So your approximation, you're probably less than a day's travel from the border. Right. Which would certainly explain the increased military presence.
Yeah.
The lead dwarf lowers the lance a little bit and calls out to you and just says, "You there, dwarf, or dragonborn. Fuck, I'm a dwarf. I've been hitting the drink a little bit. Excuse me."
Yeah. I know how it is.
These mountains get a little bit boring. You understand.
They all look the same, yeah.
Yeah, you know how it is. What's your business here? What are you doing this far outside the city?
Just been traveling for the past couple days. You know how it goes.
Where is your destination?
I was thinking maybe head into Ostermeer. See how Midwood's doing.
You're traveling to Midwood?
Is that a problem? You seem very concerned about that.
Do you have your papers?
Do I have any idea what papers he's talking about?
You have no idea.
Well, I'd have to say I don't know what papers you're talking about.
The lead dwarf looks at the other two and then looks back at you. Where are you coming from?
Well, I was in Darndarum last, but as I said, I've been traveling, just kind of wandering for the past couple days.
Are you aware that there's currently a draft going on?
A draft? But wouldn't those only happen during a war?
Have you not been in the city since, 2 days ago?
Did someone declare war on us?
Roll a deception check.
Damn it. 6.
He kind of looks you over. He takes a look at your pack and everything. What's that box you got there?
I don't know. It was given to me by someone important to me. It doesn't open. I try to open it just to show.
He watches you for a second. And he pulls the ram over to the dwarf that's on his right, your left. And they start having a hushed like a hushed conversation. Are you listening in, or are you going to just leave them be?
I will listen in if I can do it without appearing to listen in.
Make a perception check.
22.
Much better. Listening in, you know Dwarvish, right?
I do.
Okay. So you hear the lead dwarf talking to the other dwarf that was off to your left. And you basically hear him saying, matches the description. What do you think? And you hear the other dwarf responding, it's a bit hard to tell. These dragons look all the same to me. The lead dwarf elbows him. It's like, don't be rude. Even if he can't understand us, that's still not something we're saying.
I keep a straight face.
You hear them continuing. He seems young still. Probably sent off by whoever. If he does match who he is, then... I don't know what to do. And you see the second dwarf, the one that he was that he went over to, kind of just stroking his beard, and they're both looking at you.
I drop my blacksmith tools on the ground.
Like accidentally or like intentionally?
Accidental. Intentionally on accident.
Make a performance.
Oh, great. Oh, 14. It's an average roll. I'm happy.
You accidentally drop the accidentally drop your blacksmithing tools.
I hurriedly pick them back up, embarrassed.
And the two of them look at the tools that are on the ground, and then they both look at each other, and they both at the exact same time going, it's him.
Was that still in Dwarvish?
Still in Dwarvish.
Okay, and then pretending I don't understand that. I'm sorry about that. None of the Smiths in Darndarum would accept me, and I'm embarrassed about that, so I kind of made up some stuff, hoping I can get an apprenticeship in Ostermar.
They look at each other with like a yeah, okay look. The third one is just keeping his lance trained on you, basically. After a moment, the lead one says in Dwarvish, out loud, and you understand it. He says, "You two go on ahead. I'll take care of this. I'll meet you at the rendezvous point." And the two dwarves that were flanking you look at each other, and then they rein in their rams and start riding off further down the mountainside. The lead dwarf just kind of watches them go until they round a corner and then turns back to you.
Okay.
"I know who you are, and I know your master. He's a good man. He did a lot of repairs for my my armor back in the days. My weapons as well."
You'll understand if I say I don't have any idea what you're talking about.
Of course, of course. "Well, supposing you were who I think you are, I'd say that I owe your master a favor, and I think I'm paying it back right now."
Supposing I was who you think I am, then you should consider that favor to be repaid.
"Well, then you best be moving along before I have to change my mind."
I just give a nod.
He pulls the ram up next to you. At this point, the lance is gone. Like, not gone, but like he's lowered it to the ground. And he approaches and holds out a hand towards you and says, "The name's Aldrich."
That's a very interesting name you got there.
"If you're trying to make fun of me, I wouldn't recommend it at this point."
Not at all. I'd rather like it, and I shake his hand.
Right. "You got 10 minutes before my crew's gonna come back here. I suggest you be gone."
Aye.
"Don't come back here. This war's nothing good, but..."
Wasn't planning on it.
"Blessings of fire upon you."
And from the earth below.
And he turns the ram around and starts riding off. So,
I'm gonna leave.
I imagine you in a rush, book ass out of there.
Yep.
So you run out. It takes you a few days, but you arrive in Shayla's. Now, let me get a bit of a description here. Shayla's is a resplendently beautiful town, sitting just hours away from both Ostermare and Kalian, as well as the Ember Scar Grove. The buildings here are in a similar style to those within Morothos, being that they appear to be built into the trees themselves, in a fashion making it appear they live alongside nature as opposed to bending it to their will with force. The townsfolk here seem to be in good spirits, and there is a general mirth to the environment. Many of the local shops and stalls appear to flaunt various animal pelts, meat, and other pieces of animal remains in different fashions. Animal bone jewelry, containers, and other such items made from internal organs, etc., etc. At this point that you arrive, it's fairly late at night. There really aren't that many shops that are actually left open. A lot of people are starting to pack up. The sun's like just setting. What are you going to do?
Well, I'm gonna go try to find the Adventurers Guild.
No problem. So you are off doing that, and I am going to swap it over then to Ilo.
Hi.
So, Ilo, you, after being dropped off on the shoreline, have traveled for a few days towards Shayla's. The escorts that you have from Captain Alibor seem to know where they're going. They really don't make very much conversation, though.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they really don't give you much more than the occasional grunt or one-word responses.
They don't like my stories.
Make a performance check.
Okay, cool. 16.
Not bad. So we'll say one night while you guys are camping out and on your way to Shayla's, you decide to start regaling them with tales that you have heard from Callie of ventures on the high seas and the excitement of battling many a foe on an enemy vessel. And they actually seem to get pretty into it, especially when you start describing the battles themselves, the murder and blood, and it seems they're very into that.
Hooray.
I mean, hey, as long as the audience is entertained, right?
My people.
My dudes. It is story time, my dudes.
My dudes.
Roll a d4.
3.
3 of them actually seem to take a bit of a liking to you. The 4th one doesn't really care all that much. Like, yeah, they're good stories, but like, whatever. It's a job. We're done with it.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I should mention that during your travels, it's very clear that your escort seems to be avoiding Morathas.
Mm-hmm.
However, they leave it up to you now that you've made friends with them. At least 3 of them. They're leaving it up to you whether you wish to travel through Callian or if you wish to circumvent it and make a beeline for Shayla's.
I vote for Callian. Seems closer anyways.
The 3 of them acknowledge. The 4th one just kind of doesn't give a shit. And you make your way into Callian. Now, Callian, as opposed to Morathas or Shayla's, is not so much focused on living with nature as kind of farming it. Immediately walking into the town, you could find that there are many fenced-off areas that have various trees growing within. Many of them appear to be saplings, though you do see a few that appear to be quite large in nature. And in fact, as you're passing through, you can see that there are several townsfolk using saws, axes, even the occasional magic user just casting away at the base of these trees. And every so often you hear the sound of cracking and a loud thud as a tree is cut down. Make a perception check for me. Wow. That is 2 nat ones in the span of a very short amount of time. So, you don't really notice much else as you're wandering through. Are you going to be staying the night within Callian, or are you going to try to make your way towards Shayla's a bit quicker?
I think he's taking his time. Because also, this is the point where he would stop. Do I have like a compass or something to figure out like where the general direction that I'm going? You
wouldn't have a compass, no, because you weren't like a navigator on the ship. Make a survival check.
16.
Based off of, because you have watched the navigator that was on your ship in terms of trying to find a proper destination while on the seas. Occasionally you guys have had to sail out into open waters as opposed to kind of hugging the shores. You're able to kind of pinpoint based on the location of certain stars, the position of the moon. You're able to roughly figure out where you're headed and where you currently are.
Okay. Well, in that case, I don't really need to do much like interaction with people. I would like to. Well, first of all, he's traveling. When he gets to cities, he's going to pop on disguise self until he gets like situated and stuff like that. He's disguising himself up as a gnome. So he's a small little gnome. And,
what does this gnome look like? Give me a description here.
He is very small. And instead of having a bunch of knives, he just has like a short sword. Well, more like a dagger, I guess, because gnome.
Yep.
Clothes, instead of like leather armors or anything like that, it just looks pretty casual. Not really like an adventurer, but maybe a traveler, you know? He doesn't look like he sees much combat.
Okay. Yeah, so the vibe I'm getting is you look kind of like a merchant with your armed guard sort of thing coming in here.
Yeah, because his goal is obviously to not look intimidating so that he can like talk to people.
Right,
so.
That's the job of the 4 gentlemen that are with you.
Well, yeah, but they're ditching me at
Shayla's, yeah.
Yeah, they're ditching me here, so I've probably gone my own ways at this point. But what I'm gonna do when I get in disguise is like wander around the farm and look for things that I haven't eaten yet, maybe. Just taste things around if no one cares.
Make an investigation check.
Okay.
Yeah, like you can wander around
or plants or anything.
You can wander around these. I think they're called tree nurseries.
Yeah.
11. All right. Yeah, so you kind of wander around these nurseries. There really doesn't seem to be anybody stopping you. They seem to be pretty enveloped in their work. Even later at night, there are people still working on, how do I describe it? Make an Arcana check.
Oh man, like all the things I'm real good at, let me tell you.
D12s for
okay, before we address that Arcana check, Undead just donated $15. Thank you very much, Undead. And Undead says D12s for everyone.
Oh, damn.
Holy shit. Okay.
What the fuck?
So Onyx gets a D12, shit. Neil gets a D12, and Kyle gets a D12. Wow.
Ooh. That's awesome.
Thank you very much, sir. You are a gentleman and a wonderful person. All right. So, it's a 1 Arcana.
Yeah.
So, Ilo.
It's not a crit fail.
No, it's not. You just have a negative.
I just also don't succeed. Yeah. The most that I could not succeed.
So, Ilo, you're wandering around these tree nurseries, and you see people occasionally sitting in front of a tree on a stool. And from what you can tell, it looks like they're just singing. Make a perception. That's a nat 1. Jesus Christ.
Ilo doesn't make it to the thing.
So, you just see these people singing at the trees. It's very weird, very strange cultural customs in this land.
Mm-hmm.
And, looking around, you do find that there appear to be some very peculiar undead. I don't want to talk about it. There are some very peculiar looking mushrooms that seem to be growing on the side of one of these trees near the roots. The mushrooms themselves appear to be blue capped with purple frilling.
Okay. Well, the bad part is that I'm putting that in my mouth.
Are you just straight up popping it in your mouth, or are you like checking it?
Well, I mean, he'll give it a glance over first, but I mean, unless there's like a bug on it, I'm putting it in my mouth.
Make a nature check.
Okay. 17.
Oh, there you go.
17. Okay. You, from the tales that you've heard and just from random stories that Callie has told you and the occasional ramblings of Ruben, forgot his name for a second there. You're familiar with the mushroom. You can't remember the name because, I mean, that wasn't really all that exciting for you to hear. Like, who cares names?
Yeah.
As long as it tastes good, right? You are familiar that these kinds of mushrooms are edible. They're very bland when eaten raw. You do recall that they do make a pretty good addition to certain soups.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, any like sort of like a vegetable broth, especially, it's very good in.
So what I'm gonna do, since that's like no good to me now, raw, I would need to like get the flavor palette of this mushroom from it in by like cooking it later. So I'll hold on to it. Yeah.
All right. So in your inventory, let's say you find 3 of these blue/purple mushrooms.
Okay. And then I'll go to an inn before my hour is up on disguise self and grab a room for the night and sleep here. Because I'm not in a hurry.
Sure.
I wasn't told to be in a hurry, I guess. I don't know.
So you bunker down for the night, resting in an inn. We'll say that it ends up costing you 5 copper pieces. It's a pretty rundown, shitty inn, but it gets the job done. Following day comes by. Your escorts very intently urge you to get up so that they can leave. You're not directly in a rush, however, these guys are just paid to deliver you and then go back.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't want to be carrying around.
Yeah, as soon as they see me walking in the direction of the town, they'll turn around and leave.
Right.
Basically, yeah.
So the following day, you spend most of your time just walking with occasional breaks for eating. And as the sun is beginning to set, you find yourself standing at the edge of Shayla's. Your escorts have bid you adieu. At least 3 of them have. The 4th one just kind of has given you a wave and gotten on with their business. You are at the edge of Shayla's. Nobody has currently seen you yet.
Disguise self as a gnome, and I'm gonna walk around talking to people, asking for directions to the place I need to be.
The Adventurers Guild.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Make a investigation check.
To find like a person to talk to?
To see how long it ends up taking you of just asking around and talking to various people.
Okay. 15?
All right. Yeah, within a matter of maybe 20 minutes of just asking around, eventually you find this human woman who is currently packing up a stall with various furs that are being draped out for display. She seems to be taking them down one by one, folding them up neatly and packing them away in several baskets. And she goes, yes, of course. You're looking for the Free Company then. Are you planning on joining them?
I don't know. I don't know. I have not been told.
Well, you're very brave if you are. That's very noble of you. They've been having a lot of problems lately with recruitment. I'm rambling, sorry. And yes, the Free Company, you can find them about 5 minutes walk down that way. Look for the very big tree that's it's got a big sign on it that says the Free Company. You can't miss it, I promise.
Okay. Big tree, got it.
Yes. Good luck
Thank
to you.
Thank you. And he runs off.
All right. So you run off and begin your approach towards the Free Company. And with that, we're going to jump over to Eluin. Or Eli, whichever you prefer.
Most of my students just call me Professor. It makes no difference to me, though.
Nerd. So for you, it's been a very interesting trip. Because for you, for one, you're not very well traveled. In fact, this is practically your first time venturing out into the world in general. It's a 3-day journey normally from Milanthalur to Shayla's. However, Make me a survival check.
Okay. It's about right. It's a 5.
Wait, where? I didn't see it. Whoops. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Okay.
That was weird. It didn't show up for some reason for a sec there. Okay. So, yeah, it ends up taking you an extra day just because you end up getting lost on the way. You make your way towards where you know Shayla's to be. You've seen maps before. It's just kind of one of those things that you're like, oh, yes, this is that place that I must go to eventually because it's got the thing. Or, yes, that place is well known for this or that.
I'll get to it eventually, though.
Of course. Yes, of course. On your way to Shayla's, though, one thing that didn't match up with your maps is you're about a day's journey away from Shayla's, and you find that where there should be a large expanse of woods, there appears to be dead husks of trees. The ground appears to be covered in soot and ash. There's really no wildlife or any sort of greenery. It's a very dead landscape.
Okay. And this is those 2 hexes on the map, right?
Correct.
That are brown?
Yep.
Okay. I don't think almost... I don't think he notices at first. He's just kind of strolling through. And then he kind of looks around and because he gets in his own little world sometimes. And then he notices almost like the lack of smell instead of the smell of trees and whatnot. It's
there is a smell. It's like a very dead, burning.
Right.
Like it's that ashy, nasty.
Yeah, I think that once his senses are assaulted with this smell, he just kind of stops in his place and kind of looks around and this isn't right. He looks down at his map. I should be in the right place, but this isn't right. What happened here? And he will connect with Bartimus, his little owl, and
Burp.
Try to. He wants to communicate with Bartimus and have him kind of scout the area out and see what's going on, because this is not supposed to be here, and he'd probably take a minute to cast detect magic as a ritual.
Sure.
To see if he grabbed anything from that.
Which are you doing first?
Let's send Bartimus out first.
I should ask: are you transferring your senses to Bartimus and scouting that way, or are you just having Bartimus?
Who?
I would say I
who?
would send him out while I'm casting the spell.
Okay, so
I'm not going to transfer my consciousness.
Bartimus flies off with a flutter of wings and takes off to the sky and starts making large circles and flying around, surveying the landscape. While you sit down, pull out your arcane focus and concentrate. 10 minutes go by and you complete the incantation. There is no magical presence within the area. You do pick up the candle, which is currently in your bag. But that's the only magic that you're picking up on.
Okay. This seems very strange. I don't understand. And he would probably wait until Bartimus comes back and see what he has to see. If he would ask him questions. He was just going to wait for Bartimus to come back. Probably wouldn't send him out too far. Just kind of do a quick circle around the area and then come back.
Being that he's your familiar, roll me an investigation with your stats.
Okay. Investigation. Ooh, I like that.
Wow. Okay. So You wait another 5-10 minutes before Bartimus comes back, and you notice that Bartimus is clutching something in one of his claws. Or not claws.
Come here, friend.
Onyx, help.
Talons.
Yep, that was it.
Bird claws.
Come here, Bartimus. Come here. What do you have there?
Bartimus flutters over and lands on your shoulder, dropping something into your hands. In your hands appears to be... Hang on, let me make sure I get the description right on this. I don't want to fuck this up, especially because this is very important. In your hand is a square pin, roughly the size of, let's say, like 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. And on this pin, I guess it's more of a brooch, you could say, it's kind of covered in soot and ash. It appears to be fairly old, at least a few years, based on your guess. It appears to be a black background with a singular flame in the center.
Interesting.
Roll me a religion check.
Oh, I'm okay with that too.
21.
Oh!
It's been a while since you've seen it. You're not one to really associate yourself with religions, but you have come across them in your studies. This is the symbol for the god of fire.
Okay.
Based off of that religion check, what you recall is that the god of fire is represented by a single flame on a black background. And those who worship the god of fire are firm believers that from destruction comes life, and from life comes destruction.
Interesting. So, I wonder why this is here. He's gonna prestidigitize. Oh my god, I know this spell.
Prestidigitize, yep.
Yes, prestidigitize and clean it. Get the soot and all the crap off of it.
Yeah, it's very easy for you. He just
kind of like waves his hand over it. Well, I wonder what this has. I don't know why this is here. Bartimus, this was all that you found? He just kind of looks up at him quizzically.
The bird does that like head tilt thing that owls do, and then just hoots at you once.
Very well. And this is like as far as he can see for the time being. This whole area.
At the moment, you know you're headed in roughly the right direction. So given a day, you'll probably arrive at Shayla's.
Okay. He would get like a journal of some sort that's out and kind of write down what he's found here, because this is not normal. It's not supposed to be here. Just kind of make notes of it, and I mean, he doesn't really. If there's nothing else here, he might take maybe a sample of like the soil or like some tree bark, but then he's gonna continue and see if once he reaches Shayliz, he'll probably find someone and question them, see what happens, see what happened.
In your inventory, put down 1 cinder bark.
1 cinder bark?
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
And then you're going to continue on your way?
Yep.
Right.
He wants to get to Shayliz.
So it takes you the better part of a day, but eventually you find your way to Shayliz as the sun is setting. Again, the air, the mood within the town is very jovial. People are currently wrapping things up. Carts and merchants and stores are closing up shop for the evening.
I'm sure by this point in the day, he's probably like pretty tired. He's not so well traveled, and he's very like he doesn't need his walking stick usually, but he's definitely leaning on his stick, kind of hobbling a little bit. And if he sees like any of like a shopkeeper or something that's pretty close by, he'll just kind of come up and, excuse me, can you help me real quick?
You see there's a very well-dressed looking gnome. He's got on a pinstriped vest over a white cloth shirt. He's got a very nice set of spectacles on. It's kind of like a half moon, or the crescent moon spectacles.
Oh, yes.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you? We're closing up shop right now.
I'm so terribly sorry to bother you. I'm looking for some sort of adventure lodge. I was sent here for some adventuring lodge guild, something of those nature. This is Shayla's, right?
You are correct, sir. You have made it to Shayla's. Welcome.
Thank you.
I take it you haven't come here before, huh?
No, sir. This is my first time getting out of the college.
I see. Well, I think I know where you're going. In the meantime, while I'm pondering, perhaps you would like a T-shirt here that says "I heart" and then it says Shayla's on it.
You know you have to buy it, right?
He looks down at this T-shirt and he kind of looks at his own rather nicely dressed attire. No. It's quite fine. I don't think it would go with my outfit, as some of you younger folks say. But
I see. I get you. Don't worry. I understand. And he taps his nose and points to you. I got just the thing for you. Yes, hang on 1 second. I'm still thinking. Don't you worry.
Please,
I'm
sir,
still thinking.
No, sir, I.
He turns around and starts rummaging through the basket.
Sir, I'm not really interested in.
No.
Sir,
hold on.
please.
Don't you worry. I've got just the thing.
Oh goodness! And he mage hand taps the guy on the shoulder, sir, please. I am quite tired.
Just one moment. He turns back around, and you see in his hand he's holding a very stereotypical wizard's hat, the Gandalf pointy wizard's hat, and embroidered onto it, it says "I heart Shayla's."
So he sees the wizard hat, and he stomps the ground with his cane. Why, I would never be seen in such a horrid. Oh, I hate those things.
Oh, my apologies, sir. I understand. Make an intimidation
science.
check.
Intimidation? Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably not going to be that great. Yeah, probably not. All right, so I'm going to see what this is.
Or persuasion, I'll say, if you feel more comfortable.
Yeah,
if you're trying to.
No, intimidation would be definitely what I would choose.
Okay.
I want to use my D6.
The D6. All
yeah.
Right. The Bard Extreme D6.
Yes.
Okay, so I am marking that off that Kyle has expended the D6.
All right, and I got a 4, so that'll put me at a 10.
Nice. All right. So he puts his hands up. All right, I understand. Don't get your knickers in a bundle, old man.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to raise my voice like that. I just can't stand those silly hats.
Yes. The place you're looking for is called the Free Company. It's down that way, maybe 3 minutes away.
Thank you. I did have one other inquiry.
His ears perk up. Yes? What else can I get for you, sir?
And he takes his cane and points it behind him. What? As I crossed into Midwood, there was a large section of forest that was burnt and charred, lifeless. What happened?
Can't say for certain, honestly. I'm not usually traveling out west, to be honest. I tend to travel between here and Garthoth.
I see. Okay.
The shop that he has set up is like a little side cart on like the side of the road.
Okay.
Make a perception check.
Okay. 17.
You do see sticking out a little bit towards the bottom of one of his baskets. There is actually a shirt that says "I Heart Garthoth."
And Garthoth is out east.
Yeah, that's the dwarven town.
He takes notice of this, just looks at the gnome, and well, thank you for the time and the information.
Sure. He like waves you off and goes back to packing up.
Yeah. He just he'll kind of start to stroll off, and he'll stop and look. Never mind. And he's gonna make his way to the free company.
Okay. So, Ilo, Zykirin, and Eli, all three of you make your approach towards this rather large tree. And when I say large, by comparison, most of the trees that have been in this area that have been buildings have been roughly, let's say, God, I'm terrible at this, between 20 to 30 feet in diameter. So fairly decent size for a shop setup.
How big is that in dwarves?
I would have to say it's probably at least like 15, maybe 20 dwarves.
Okay.
This tree is very wide around. Your best guess is that it's probably at least like 60 to 70 feet in width, in diameter. And there's what appears to be a very well-adorned door. It appears to be made of wood and bark. The bark almost seems to make like this collage of small figures locked in combat, and then another portion of it shows several small figures seated in front of what appears to be some sort of regal figure. A bunch of different like little artistic designs all decorating the door. And then on the center of it there appears to be a writing in Elvish. Who knows Elvish? Eli? Anybody else?
Of course.
Eli, you recognize the writing in Elvish as the Free Company.
Okay.
And there is obviously a doorknob off to the left side.
Awesome.
So
are we all approaching at the same time?
Yes, all three of you notice as you're approaching that there's other figures that appear to be approaching the building as well. Eli, you see that there appears to be a very tall, muscular brass dragonborn approaching, as well as what appears to be a very well-traveled looking gnome. Ilo, you see, again, a brass dragon and a very old and haggard-looking elf. And Zai, you see a very small, well-traveled gnome and a old elf.
Oh, you all look like Captain Alabar's friends. Are you Captain Alabar's friends? You're old and you're a dragon?
Who's this Captain Alabar you're talking about?
I'm sorry.
Is this the wrong place?
Where are you looking for?
I have a letter. I'm supposed to be. It's a adventurers guild.
That's where I'm trying to go.
Oh,
Alabar. Oh, that's strange. You know Alabar?
yes. I'm supposed to meet his friends, I think. for something.
Arch, who actually initiated the letters? Was that actually given to us?
In your case, Lilith had mentioned that Tumal was the one that initiated the letters.
Okay.
But she had mentioned Alabar.
Okay, yeah.
She had mentioned that she was part of an adventuring group, and Tumal and Alabar were her companions.
Right, okay.
Alabar, that was one of my friend's traveling companions back in the day.
So you're a friend of a friend.
Right. Her name was Lilith. It was her and Alabar and I can't. God, this guy's name gets me. Tumal and Tumal.
Master Redblade?
You know him?
Yeah, his apprentice. Or was.
Very interesting. I would say that each of them have sent us in their stead.
Yes, Captain Alabar's too old to be leaving the ship these days.
Lilith claims to be old, but look at me.
Master Redblade's been drafted.
Drafted? Into what? An army of some sorts?
Yeah. A couple days ago, the Dwarven Kingdom declared war on the realm of the Ascended. I take it you didn't know about that.
Excuse me. I thought that you just said that the Dwarven Kingdom had declared war on the realm of the Ascended. Oh, that's hilarious. You're funny. I like you.
He pats you kind of like on the side of the arm.
It'd be much more hilarious if I didn't have to, escape the city and make my way here.
I think it'll be much more hilarious inside too. Let's go.
Wait, you're not joking. You're not.
No, I agree with the gnome though. Let's go.
Yeah, I think I need to sit down for a moment. Oh boy.
Fucking dwarves.
So you guys are going in?
Yeah.
All right, so the three of you make your way inside. The door swings open easy enough. Inside is what was once a very nice looking, how would I explain this? A very nice looking, oh god, like a lobby.
Okay.
There is a circular desk with a opening towards the back, sitting in the center of the room. There are several lamps scattered throughout the walls of this room. Obviously, the room itself is circular as well as there being a singular chandelier about 10 feet up above the reception desk. There are a few chairs scattered around the room. However, it's very apparent to you all that there's a very thin layer of dust. It doesn't look like there's been much activity in this room. The floor itself, there's not really dust, but like a lot of the furniture.
Right. Are the lights and like the chandelier, are they lit?
The chandelier is, however, the rest of the lamps in the room are currently out. Standing behind the circular desk, currently, what it looks to be a person reading several papers. You see what appears to be a slightly older looking elf, not quite on your level, Eli, but older looking elf, fairly attractive wood elf, standing about 5'7", tan skin, long brown hair that goes down to the middle of his back. He's got lime green eyes and appears to be wearing very peculiar looking dark green scaled armor.
Ooh.
And he seems to be standing there reading through some sheets of parchment, and as you all enter, his eyes dart up to the door, and he tilts his head to the side, and then stands up straight and says, "Welcome. It's a bit late in the evening, but you are welcome here. Welcome to the free company. May I help you?
I'm looking for Captain Alabar's friends.
Jamal Redblade sent me here.
And Lilith sent me. We're supposed to meet here?
He
Kind of
pauses.
pulls out the letter.
Ilo, are you giving your letter as well? Or are you
not
still
yet.
holding onto it? Okay. He pauses, he looks at the three of you, he takes the letter from Eli, he looks it over, and then he just lets out a quick whistle, like a...
Yes.
So... Wow, those are names I have not heard in a very long time.
Oh, so this is the right place.
Yes, you can rest assured you have definitely found the correct place.
Oh, thank God. And I let my disguise go.
Okay,
And you see a small little white kobold. He kind of has like what looks like a gnome's top half of a leather chest piece on. He has what looks like a bow and arrow quiver that's been flattened and hardened to where he can stick like knives in it. And the knives kind of, he has like, what did I say? 4? He has 4 knives like that just fan out from his back, and they look like kitchen knives. They're like the one-sided little knives. They're not daggers. They're not double bladed. And he has 2 that sit like basically on the back end of a belt, one handle on each side.
Oh,
Oh,
don't know.
my. Wow. A kobold. Wow. Fascinating.
Surprise!
And you know magic. That's amazing.
Like a
Look at
small
that.
dragon.
And he kind of like pokes at you with the end of his cane.
Oh,
That's,
hi.
I've never seen one of you in person before. That's fascinating.
Thanks, I guess.
the elf behind the counter also seems slightly taken aback and then lets out a lighthearted laugh. Indeed, it's been... Actually, I don't think we've ever had a kobold gracing our fine halls here. Well, welcome to you three. What are your names?
Oh, I am Milo. And I mage hand my letter up to him.
He takes the letter and pops off the seal and starts reading through it. Doesn't seem surprised, and then puts that down. And the rest of you?
Name's Zai Kieran. You can just call me Zai, though.
And I am Professor Elwyn Silvermane from the college in Millinthalor. Lily sent me here.
Most odd that she sent you. I would have thought she would have sent someone a bit younger. But my apologies.
It is none taken. I am quite old.
I get ahead of myself. I am Dalis Okalo, and he gives you all a bow. Zai, you're the only one that's a bit well-traveled in Midwood. Make a history check.
18.
You recognize his last name. From what you recall... Hang on, I need to make sure I don't fuck this up. There we go.
Also, how would you spell Dalen's name? You know, if you just had to...
D-A-E-L-L-I-N.
Dalen Oakhollow?
Yeah. Zai, you're actually familiar with the last name. You've heard it in passing conversation. You know that... So, Midwood as a whole, and specifically within Morothos being the capital, the country is controlled by what's called an Elder Council. It's made up of three small groups of Wood Elves from the main branch families. The council is made up of 3 elder Wood Elves from the main branch families within Midwood. Each of the families hails from the 3 major towns within Midwood, Ostermere, Shayliz, and Callian. And the three elders themselves reside within Morithos as the rulers, while their families run the respective hometowns to a degree. You're familiar that the Oak Hollow family, which is where Dalen seems to hail from, his family are the rulers of Shaylas. Being that you got an 18... you're aware that the elder of the Oak Hollow family is Lorsan Oak Hollow, also known as the Peacemaker.
Okay.
Got
Oak Hollow. Oak Hollow. You know, I think I recognize that name.
I imagine you would.
How are you related to the ruler of Shaylas?
That would be my grandfather. My grandfather is Lorsan Oak Hollow. He is the elder within Morithos.
And
not that he would readily acknowledge my presence half the time, but that is neither here nor there.
So wait. Your grandfather is the ruler of this whole city and part of the Elder Council, and you're a receptionist at an adventurers guild.
No, but if we could afford a receptionist, no. I am the leader of the free company here within Shaylas. We're, well, in case you can't tell, and he gestures at the room around you, we've kind of had a bit of a issue with membership, and if we don't really have members, then we don't have that great of an income. And to be honest, it's a bit of a dating issue in that, well, a lot of the countries and a lot of the people don't really view us as necessary anymore. Have you not heard of the free companies?
Can't say that I have.
Eli, I'll let you make a history check, being that you are who you are.
Okay.
Because you're you.
Yeah. Ew.
Even I haven't heard of you.
You are familiar with the name. You're not all too familiar with what it is that they did. You just know that they are mentioned in several historical events.
Right. I've heard that name a few times, mentioned in some books here and there, but I can't say that I really... I've heard the name mentioned, but I can't say that I know any specifics.
Well,
I've just heard it before.
Being that you're all here to join us, it's only fitting that I give you a bit of a history lesson, I suppose.
Oh, this is quite a turn of events.
He looks around for a chair.
There are several chairs, all of them dusty.
He just... Like, he mage hand pulls it to him and just, like, plops down, pulls out a notebook, and is ready.
If you two would like to be seated as well, I'll try to keep it brief. I understand that it is getting late, and whether or not we postpone events till tomorrow morning or not will be yours to decide.
Rubbish, it's never too late to learn.
I pull up a chair. Been traveling for a long time. Be glad to sit.
And you, Ilo?
I'll just sit on the floor.
Very well.
Do you need a pen, little kobold?
A pen for what?
What? Notes, of course.
Oh. No.
And he just shakes his head.
Oh. Oh, continue on.
Well, to start with, we are an adventuring guild that was founded 50 years ago. We were founded during the event called the Upheaval of the Dark Ones. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, Professor. Roll me another history. You're familiar with the title, you've heard it referenced before, however, it never really pertained to your research in particular, so you kind of glanced over at most parts.
Right.
You do recall that it was a fairly catastrophic event. Not on, like, a national, like, holy shit apocalyptic level, but, like, it was pretty big.
Okay.
Well, basically, the upheaval of the Dark Ones was a time roughly 50 years ago where there was an underground cult of followers of the god below who had made several terrorist attacks on various villages and cities throughout the 7 major countries of Aranthea. All 3 of you make a religion check.
5.
I don't have, like, disadvantage or anything?
No.
Okay. 15.
Okay. Zai, you being from mostly raised within the Freelands and then in the Dwarven Kingdom, you never really heard much tell of the God Below. The name is familiar to you, but you don't really know much beyond it. Your knowledge lies more in Fire and Earth. However, Eli and Ilo especially, you've heard tales. The God Below is represented by a hilly landscape with a set of yellow eyes beneath the ground. What you're familiar with is that those who worship the God Below are believers that death is the only sure thing in life, and are encouraged to pursue their ambitions and goals to a near selfish level. A lot of the time, people tend to view followers of the God Below with distrust. A lot of them tend to be of a evil nature. Not all of them. It's not inherently an evil following. It's just that many of the people drawn to that specific worship tend to be of a less than ideal nature.
Interesting. This is good stuff.
So, let me get back. Here we go. So, the guild was founded with the intent of bringing together strong and capable peoples from across the lands to join together and help those in need regardless of borders. Too often, countries are at odds with one another where they will not lend aid even in times of need, especially in times of need such as that. It was chaos. It was a lot of lives were lost. And that's where we came in. Our purpose was to assemble those who were capable, who wanted to shed the bonds of their country and unify under one banner. And we were successful. Many of our former guild members have aided in the ensuing conflicts, but we remained around after the fact. There were still issues to be solved, and a lot of times there are issues that certain countries just can't deal with themselves. And that's where we would come in. We would have people hire us, kind of, I hate to use the term, but we're in a sense kind of like mercenaries, but for better intent.
I see. This is quite interesting.
However, yes?
The Captain Alabar was part of this?
He was. Captain Alabor and Tumal Rudeblade and Redblade and Fair Lilith. All 3 of them were a adventuring party within our guild.
Oh, he doesn't talk about it much.
I can't imagine that he would. It was a very dark time. The 3 of them were part of the original members who formed the guild.
Really?
I am happy to know that the 3 of them still live. Many of our former members are not so lucky.
That's terrible.
Indeed. We've lost many members to the frailty of age and disease, the wrong end of a sword, the receiving end of a powerful spell. To this day, we only number 4.
Is that it? Is that including? Okay.
Not including you 3. You have yet to be tested.
Oh, goodness.
No. There are other members. It's just myself here at working the desk right now. You'll be meeting one of our other members shortly. Depending.
Wait, so I'm not going back to the boat?
Not anytime soon, no.
Hmm.
As far as I understand it, the 3 of you have been sent here by your former master's friends, captain, with the intent of joining us so that you can grow as people.
Captain is best friend.
Indeed. Ilo, for you specifically, your Captain Alibor has specifically mentioned that he wishes for you to grow as a person, it seems. Not in any mean way. I think I understand him very well, and based on what I'm seeing, I can understand. The 3 of you seem fitting for what we could use here. And understand that you will not be simply thrown at every task that we receive. We will be ranking you, so to speak, and giving you appropriate tasks as we receive them. And there is payment, of course, for tasks completed. We would not expect you to take on anything without due recompense. Any questions so far?
Ooh. Yes, but I would have to think of where to begin first.
I imagine the educator would be the one with the questions, of course.
Of course. It's a rare occasion that I'm on the learning side these days.
I would imagine.
I am quite excited, though.
Same.
And of course,
about the learning, too.
There is the age-old statement of the only stupid questions are those that are not asked. Indeed, I did receive an education at Milanthalor as Erishul a long time ago.
Oh, really? Really? How long ago? I don't recognize you.
Oh, that must have been...
What was your field of study?
Well, to be honest, I was in the fighter side of the school.
Oh, okay. Well, that would be why I don't recognize you. I'm obviously from the arcane division.
As I assumed.
History, religion, some basic spell 101 classes.
Sounds quite riveting. And he throws a wink at Ilo.
It's not as great as it sounds, but it's been, pardon the pun, it's been educational.
Oh, yes, of course. Well, I don't want to keep you up too late. Seeing as you are potentially going to be members here, I'll leave the option to you. If you would like, I can go retrieve our second member, and we can test you right here now. Or if you would prefer to wait till the morning, I can't lodge you here until you're official members. But there's an inn not far from here.
I do have one question first.
Of course.
How is an independent riding force like this one expected to just exist when they're right in the middle of a war that's going on?
I beg your pardon?
Yes.
Apparently you don't know about it either. A couple days ago, the Dwarven Kingdom declared war on Rome of the Ascended. That's why I'm here.
I still have questions about that.
Indeed, I have questions as well.
Yeah, big announcement, draft put in place, got rushed out of the city.
Oh, you were where the dwarves were.
Yeah, capital.
Dalen looks very or Dalus, excuse me. Dalus looks very conflicted at this, and then pulls out a blank sheet of parchment and a quill and begins writing something down. And he rolls it up, puts a wax seal on it. Well, I don't think it'll be an issue presently. As it is, there's a general consensus among the countries, at least there was before, I'll have to make sure that it's honored, that the adventuring company, the free company here, is one of neutral grounds. We do not get involved in wars unless there is a clear, morally correct side, shall we say. I'll have to look into the matter personally. We have one of our other members here who can... not here currently. We have another member that can do some digging for me and attempt to gain some more information on the matter. But I would not let it trouble you. Midwood itself holds a very well-established military force.
I sure hope so.
And it has been stated before to the Dwarven Kingdom. They are aware that any aggressive action taken requires them going through Midwood, and we would not readily accept such an act. But that is for my grandfather and the elders to decide, not mine. I am running the guild, which is on its own political level. And a busy one at that.
Interesting.
Any other questions? I take that as a no.
Okay. What do you two think about being tested tonight? I don't have anywhere to stay at the present.
I probably can't leave.
I
mean, I could disguise again, but...
I mean, I do love pop quizzes. But I would very much like to have a conversation with the Dragonborn after we're done.
Well, I leave it to you three then. You may either remain here and I will go fetch our second member and see about testing you presently. Or if you would rather take the night, get to know each other and re-adjourn in the morning, that is your call.
It makes little difference to me. I do not sleep I don't sleep at all, technically, but I don't require much time.
I don't know. I mean, I'm okay, I guess.
As I said before, don't really have anywhere else to sleep, so test sounds good.
Well then, old chaps, let's go for the test.
Very well. Give me...
one more question.
Yes?
Is it a written test?
You're supposed to raise your hand when you have a question.
Is it a written test?
Not quite. It's, our sorting measures are a bit eclectic. You'll
Okay.
see. It is, there's not much participation on your part for this.
Oh, okay, easy test.
So you see Dalus walk out from behind the desk, and towards the back of the room, you can see that there's a set of stairs that goes up and around, and you see him go off up the stairs. Are you guys doing anything in the meantime?
Eli is kind of roaming around this kind of lobby area. You had mentioned earlier that the torches were not lit other than the chandelier.
Correct.
And the there was dust everywhere.
Yep.
So he's just kind of roaming around this lobby, just not really doing it with purpose. He's just kind of like walking around, looking around, and just kind of waving his hands over everything and prestidigitizing everything to make it clean. And as he passes by a torch, he'll just a little firebolt, and start lighting all the torches. And once everything is kind of lit and nice looking, he just kind of like,
that's much better. Now you can see everything.
Indeed, and it does look a whole lot better than when you came in. It looks practically as it had 50 years ago, it seems.
Awesome. And he just goes back over to his seat, kind of leans back, and Zai, you said your name was, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yours was Eli?
Yes, you can call me Professor or Eli. It makes no difference to me. So I have to ask. You said you were at the capital, and so what's this about war with the realm of the Ascended?
Well, we all got a couple guards, Borog, if you know what those are. Showed up to our doors, told us to go to the town square. We did that, and the entire council, King was up there, and
King.
initiated a draft and said we were going to war against the realm of the Ascended because they had bright steel.
Oh, God, this again?
Wait, why are they worrying?
Apparently, our own descendant has bright steel, and the Dwarven Kingdom wants it.
The dwarves have bright steel too.
Exactly.
Apparently, they don't have enough.
Of fucking course they don't.
Zai, you do recall that there was a mention of a explosion incident a few years back that had closed down several of the mines.
Okay.
Which probably was a pretty good contributor to the lack of bright steel.
Don't have enough because the mines back there collapsed.
Oh, how long ago?
Hey Neil, how long ago
years.
was it?
oh no.
How long ago?
A few years.
Few years. Okay. Ilo tries to act natural.
Like actively trying to be natural in this sense.
Yeah, insight time.
Go ahead and make a deception, Neil.
Would it be performance or
win.
deception?
Deception in this case.
Okay, then.
Okay. Yeah, Zion, Eli seems on the up and up.
So, that foolish Dwarven King, he's going... I want to make sure I understand this. He's going to war over the bright steel that is supposedly under our land.
Yeah, him and the council.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, the dwarves are a bunch of fuckheads, basically.
Eli, you are familiar from your research and studies that there is supposedly a very large deposit of bright steel beneath Nel Nasari.
Okay.
It was like the one place that at some point you wanted to take a field trip to, but never really had the opportunity.
The fools would rather wage war and take it with force than try to diplomatize. Oh, gods. Oh. I am...
So a few moments pass before Dalus comes back down, and he walks into the room and just sits back down behind the circular desk. And from behind him, coming down the stairs, you hear a very slow shuffling sound of someone walking. It sounds like cloth shuffling along on wood, and then you hear a ka-dunk, sh-sh, ka-dunk, sh-sh, ka-dunk. It's very similar, Eli, to when you're going down the stairs with your cane.
That's what I thought was happening.
And coming down the stairs, you see what appears to be a very old woman hunched over. She can't be more than maybe 4 or 5 feet tall. Somewhere in between there. When she would stand up straight, mind you. She's near 3.5, 4 feet slouched over. She appears to be wearing tattered white and silver robes that seem to have long lost their sheen. They're frayed at several ends. It's very wispy looking. She has a gnarled oak wood cane that she is currently using to walk around with. And she's wearing what appears to be like a purple bandana over her very faded and near non-existent grayish-white hair. And she comes shuffling into the room and just slowly makes her way around the desk. Like, for you guys, movement's like 30 feet and around. For her, it's like 5. Just a very slow shuffle, and she comes up in front of you three, and she goes, "You know, back in my day, we wouldn't be waking people up in the middle of their sleep just for some young whippersnappers and their testing."
Pardon the intrusion, ma'am.
"It's madam!" And she whacks you with the cane. Like, right in the shin. Just whack!
What is a whippersnapper?
"That is you, young one!"
Like, Eli has already, like, extended, like, he was gonna say that. And kind of...
This is very surreal.
Yes, well, the sooner we can get this over with, the sooner I can go back to sleep. I'm Madam Grish.
I'm sorry, can you repeat yourself? My hearing isn't quite what it used to be.
Madam Grish.
Oh.
Do you have cotton in your ears?
Just, no.
Good. Let's get this over with so that I can go back to bed. Now, Deus here tells me that you three are joining us, or wish to?
Yes, that is correct.
Well then, Dalus, bring me my table and my things. And you see Dalus sigh, stand up, and he goes back up the stairs. And not even like a minute later, he comes down with a small, like almost like a nightstand, a little wooden table. And resting on the table is what appears to be a deck of cards. However, they're elongated. They don't look like your normal playing cards. Eli, you're familiar with these, though whether or not they are reputable is another thing within the Magic community.
Could think of many things.
No. Eli, you're familiar that these are tarot cards?
Yeah.
Typically, they're used by seers. You know that there are seers who are legit. Whether or not they use these, though, is something of debate. Because there are seers who can just receive visions and without any spell casting required. There are some that you're aware have to cast spells to do it, but are capable of doing it better than those who can just learn spells as they go. You're familiar that some do claim that they need to use tools such as crystal balls and such. So Dalus places down the table in front of Madame Grish and steps back and sits down. He sits behind the desk. He is watching, though. And she takes the deck and starts to shuffle it a bit. And she goes, "We'll start with you, tall one, first. Come forward and shuffle this deck for me." And she's gesturing at Uzai.
Okay.
She hands the deck to you.
I will shuffle it as best I can.
Shuffle it until you feel that you are content with it.
I shuffle it once, cut it twice, and then just hand it back.
She observes, takes the deck, places it down, and then puts down 3 cards and flips all 3. The peculiar thing is, and Eli, this especially stands out as a very weird occurrence for you, is that all 3 cards are blank. Normally, with a tarot deck, there are images on each of the cards denoting the type of card. With this, they're all just white surface, nothing on them.
Ma'am, I think something is wrong with your cards here.
Wait your turn, and she whacks you with the cane.
That really is uncalled for and quite rude. I'm just trying to bring attention to your cards. There's something wrong with them.
Then raise your hand next time and whack. She hits you again.
You're being out-teachered.
I don't need to be a seer to know the kind of person you are, elf.
I don't follow.
Follow your own advice is what I'm saying.
You.
She turns back to Zai. Now, let us begin with your past. And she gestures at the first card on the table. You had a life of hardship. Not one of painstaking difficulties, but a life of challenges. A life of travel. Quite interesting for one such as yourself. Now, you're present. She gestures the card in the center. You seek answers. You seek knowledge. A noble pursuit, although the reasons appear selfish in nature. Most interesting. I wonder what it is that you are seeking. For I cannot see it, and she looks up at you. And then looks back down at the cards. And the one that's always the trickiest. The future. And she gestures at the third card. Many trials lie ahead of you. Some intended to test you personally, and many others will be for those around you. But you will have no small part to play in them. You are a very interesting person, Mr. Dragonborn. And yet I've read these sorts of tales many times for others. Whether or not you differentiate yourself from them or not is to be determined. She sweeps up the 3 cards and shuffles them back into the deck. Now, since you've not been disruptive, small one...
Okay.
Come forward. Take the deck and shuffle it until you feel comfortable.
He picks the top half of the deck off and, like, kind of drops it beside the other half and then just puts the other half on top of it, looks up at her, looks back at the deck, looks back up at her, and then he takes the top card and just the top one and puts it on the bottom of the deck and then hands her the whole deck.
She gives you a very...
He looks very satisfied.
She gives you a very, jovial smile. There's, maybe 3 teeth left. And she just chuckles. One for simplicity, I understand such things. Let's see. She takes out the top 3 cards, lays them out flat, and again, all white blank cards. Nothing showing on them. Your past. Your past is one of turmoil. But you found happiness where you could with what you had. It is not something many people could do these days. This is very respectable. As for your present, and she gestures at the middle one, I see confusion, insecurities. What purpose do you play in all this? Why are you here and not where you think you belong? Perhaps your future will be the answer to this conundrum for you. She gestures to the third card. Your future is one of growth. Whether that be in size, and she throws you another wink, or in some other way I cannot see. But I believe it is in a positive way. Most interesting. And I will be honest, you are the first kobold that I've done a reading for.
Probably so.
Most
Not
peculiar.
surprising.
It would be interesting to see what the rest of your people were like. But, alas. And she immediately, like, shuffles you along, like, using the one end of her cane and, like, pushes you to the side. And now for you. Come here, grandfather.
He comes over and takes a seat and takes the deck and shuffles it and just stares at her and keeps shuffling it. And he keeps shuffling it for a long time. And after probably like a good 2 or 3 minutes of just nonstop shuffling, and then finally sits it down. Shuffle.
The whole time she's watching you.
Yeah, he's just shuffling because he kind of is skeptical of this type of magic.
Mm-hmm.
And
if you would like to look through the deck, it seems that you're very conflicted by this. Feel free to take a look. They are cards as you see them.
I do not want to look at them. I'm just overcautious, that's all.
And he'll finally sit it and he'll cut it a couple of times and then hand it back to her.
She takes the deck and draws the top 3, lays them out. Again, they're blank. And she gestures at the first one. Let's see. Your past is one of seclusion. Locking yourself away from the world for long periods, seeking to learn and expand your mind. But it has weakened your personality and taken much of your youth from you. Most interesting, but not all of your youth, it seems. Yet your present tells a different story. A desire to experience the world outside your self-created walls. A chance to learn what lies beyond the boundaries of ink and parchment. You remind me of myself when I was younger. Though, not quite as attractive, perhaps. And she throws you a wink.
I think there's like an awkward blush that occurs. He's like...
And at last your future. I see power. Not good nor bad, for power is simply a tool. But a power you wield. One that is capable of withstanding the withering effects of time.
He raises his cane is kind of like one of those like handle canes. He just kind of raises up, kind of taps it on his own head, and he's like,
Well, knowledge is power.
Indeed, perhaps that is what the reading says. Or perhaps it is something else. Most interesting.
I love prestidigitizes a rainbow. His knowledge is power.
She looks over at you and just kind of raises an eyebrow. A kobold that knows magic.
That's what I said.
Another surprise.
Indeed.
Is that rare?
It's not
somewhat.
very common tale. I've not heard of kobolds with magic.
A lot of us don't like talking to people.
That is also true. She shuffles the deck back up, leaves it on the table, and gestures for Dallas to come and take it away. He gets up, comes over, and just starts bringing it back upstairs. She turns back to the three of you.
Before he takes off with it, Eli like grabs like a random card to look at it to see if it's still blank.
You grab a card off the top, and on the card there is the image of a 2 of swords.
He just looks at it. It looks over at her like,
I told you, if you'd like to look through the deck, you are welcome.
I think I've seen enough.
and he'll just lay it down and kind of take his hands away.
Dalus looks at you for a second, gives you like an understanding smile, like he probably has dealt with this sort of thing before, and then walks away. And she turns back to the three of you. Most interesting that the three of you would be together. It's an odd fit, but a fit nonetheless.
How exactly was that a test?
It was more me judging you. Judging your character as it was, as it is, and as it should be. Or could be, I should say. The future is never truly set in stone. But that does not mean that I can't get glimpses of potential outcomes. The most likely ones.
Interesting.
I will give my judgment when Dalus comes back. There must always be a witness within the guild for these things.
Eli sits there and waits patiently. He's got his cane in front of him, and he just sits there.
So not even a moment passes before Dalus comes back down, and he sits down and he goes, "Well, how do they fare?" And Madame Grish looks at the three of you, looks at Dalus, and says, "They have potential. They could possibly be of a good fit for us. But I think that a trial run would be in order, just to see how well things mesh together for them. Give them one of the beginner jobs and see how that fares. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to bed." And she starts shuffling away. It's a very awkward pause as you just watch this old woman shh, shh, dunk, shh, dunk, shh, shh, dunk, shh, dunk.
Is it like the old guy from Up?
I don't know because I actually haven't seen Up.
Because
if you've seen Dexter's Laboratory,
okay, yeah.
The old man episode where he becomes Grandpa, yeah.
I'm not Grandpa.
Grandpa.
I'm not Grandpa.
Applesauce.
Applesauce.
Yeah, that.
Does it make the little wink, 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 wink when her little feet move?
Right. So she shuffles off, and Dalus turns back to the rest of you. Well, that's better than we've had for any of our recent applicants, albeit they were few and far between.
Maybe you don't have members because you're too picky.
I was going to ask about that.
Perhaps, but you must understand that our line of work is not for everyone. Yes, we could take that random guardsman off the street who knows how to swing a sword, but there's more to being an adventurer than just being able to swing a sword or sling a spell. There has to be something more to a person. Madame Grish seems to be the only one that can really judge that sort of thing here.
Yeah, about our line of work. What exactly is it?
Well, it depends. In the case of this trial that she has placed before you, that is more my discretion what sort of position I give you, being that I am the one still in charge here. I think I have just the one, though, and in fact, there are options for you. I will present options that you may choose from, so to speak. If that is acceptable. I understand that not everyone is a fan of being part of a guild with a cranky old woman. Are you still on board with this?
Is there a cooking option? That's pretty much my skill set.
No, there's no cooking trial per se, but if you should succeed in your trial, then I will be taking a documentation of your particular skill sets and strengths and weaknesses, and taking that into consideration when giving you future jobs.
It's just that, like, all of my adventure so far has really been, like, culinary adventure. And both.
You are quite fascinating. A kobold that can cast spells and cook.
So you're a magic chef?
Somewhat. I was taught.
Sounds intriguing. You'll have to confirm me sometime.
Intriguing is right, yes.
Taught on the boat. Good friend.
Well, if that is the case, then perhaps it is best that you experience firsthand what it's like being an adventurer and the things you may have to deal with.
If that's what Captain Oliver wanted.
Indeed it is. Well, you see how Captain Oliver shaped out, so if he can become the kind of person he is today, which I, to be honest, know not, other than that you have called him Captain, I imagine he is well off from being an adventurer.
He does okay.
I'm glad to hear it.
No one gets the better of him.
No one ever got the better of him when he was here, I assure you. Right, well, if there are no other questions then, I have the position for you here, the job that you are to do. And he pulls out what appears to be a flyer. The flyer basically details that there is going to be a hunt in 2 days' time. From what you can tell, and Zai in particular, being that you've traveled this area before, you're aware that Shayla's is predominantly economically supported by the wildlife in the woods. In that a lot of their income, a lot of the materials, a lot of the things they use, and you all saw while you were walking through the town, that's basically what these people make a living off of. It seems like the flyer is for a hunt for anybody in the town who is of capable skill, where your targets are generally any sort of beast of a approved list. There is a list written down, however, Dallas takes the flyer and puts it away and says, "Now, the only thing is that as opposed to hunting the normal fauna in the realm, such as deer, foxes, things of the sort, we have a small job to take care of a more, one might call it a dire problem." And he gives like a, "I'm sorry, I just made that pun" smile.
It better not be dire animals, Sarge. I swear.
Well, you have options, and he pulls out a list of targeted creatures. On the list, you see there is a dire boar, a dire bear,
Why?
and a dire wolf.
No dire hamsters.
No dire hamsters.
Holy.
Now, if I may make a recommendation, based on the fact that now I understand one among you is not familiar with combat, perhaps the boar may be the best course of action. Among the three, you're most likely not going to get nearly as gored by the boar as you would the other two.
So, you want us to
list,
go out and take down one of these beasts?
That is correct.
Is there bonus points for doing the other ones?
If you believe that the three of you could take down a dire wolf or a dire bear, indeed there would be a larger pay, and for the record, you would have my, well, astonishment and respect, for that matter, considering, well, two among you don't seem quite as equipped for dealing with such situations.
Is it just one, or is it just groups of them?
You only need to slay one.
Oh, I mean, I could have probably gotten more of them to come. You know, just press to digitize the smell of piss into dirt and throw it from trees. It'll attract like dozens of the things.
Let's try to avoid attracting more of them.
Well, the option is up to you. Which of the three you pursue, that is entirely up to you. I leave it entirely in your hands. The hunt is in 2 days' time. There is no timeline on this. However, if you wish to take on other roles, other positions, then I would recommend not taking too long. The hunt itself does end 3 days after beginning.
Are we to take down the beast before the hunt begins, or?
It is after the hunt begins. It is
Okay.
customs.
Okay. I was wanting to make sure that it was not something we were trying to take care of before the hunt begins, so there was no trouble during the hunt.
No, you should not have any issue. The dire creatures that are in these woods typically dwell more towards the, towards the northwest. They're not quite in the, oh god, I forgot what the terminology was. Beg your pardon, give me just a second here. Where did I put the thing?
As he bends under a desk and kind of reaching around for a scroll that he misplaced.
Where are my notes? I can't find my notes currently. This is a problem.
What you need is a nice filing cabinet with a color-coded tabbed system. Labeled very clearly. Trust me, it'll work wonders.
So what exactly did you teach in your fancy college, Eli?
History, a little bit of basic religion. Mostly I taught some of the younger students the more common applications of magic. More utilitarian type spells. I did not specialize in the evocation class of magic. Blowing things up was more of Lily style.
Oh, cool.
I found my notes. My apologies.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I also had to tie my shoes. The dire creatures tend to dwell between Ostermere and the Embuscar Grove.
Sorry, I don't think I'm familiar with that Embuscar Grove place.
The Embuscar Grove is a large swath of land that has burned down a few years ago. It has been named as such.
Burned down, you say?
Indeed, there was several wildfires that seem to have sprung up in the woods a couple of years ago.
I noticed something of a similar nature on my way here when I was first crossing over into Midwood. A very large section of your land was charred, burnt.
That would be the Embuscar Grove, then. Indeed, there were wildfires. We actually lost several of our members to the fires as well. There were folk who lived in the woods at the time, and some of our members sought to rescue them from the fires and were consumed by them.
Ah, okay. I had not known about this. It was quite alarming when I crossed over.
Indeed, but it is in the past. Well, the dire creatures are between Ostermere and the Embuscar Grove, so you'll find them there. Are there any trackers among you? I take that as a no.
can't say that I'm well acquainted with that capability.
I have a little bit of proficiency in tracking, but I wouldn't say it's great.
Then I would...
If you have like a spyglass or something I could look out of.
I'm afraid I do not.
How I know how to track things.
I'm sorry, but I don't. Well, I would recommend then taking your time, being careful, and making sure you identify your quarry before engaging. Last thing you want to do is intend to engage with a boar and instead find yourself face to face with a bear. Unless that is your quarry. I'd leave that choice to you.
It would be quite unfortunate to mistake something for something else.
Indeed, and it could prove fatal in the wrong hands.
So, are we to stay here for the night?
Well, you're on trial, but for my part, I think that you'll succeed anyways, as long as you keep your wits about you. So yes, I will permit you to stay here.
Ah, very well. Very good.
We have guest quarters for visitors that we typically have that are more of a political nature, but we haven't had any of those in some time. If you would follow me then, I will show you to your temporary chambers. So he leads you guys up the stairs. This appears to be several floors high. The stairs go up to a landing, and then the stairs continue after a small point going up and around. He leads you up to the first landing, and there's just a wall with one door on it. Opening up the door inside appears to be kind of like a dormitory. There are several beds lined out in a row, all of a very comfortable nature. They all appear to be well-made beds, as opposed to like the shitty straw and whatnot you would expect from like run-down inns and whatnot. These look like they were made for like diplomats and things of the sort. Pick whatever bed you like.
Oh, finally. A good bed.
We don't really have a like a kitchen or anything here. We don't really have food served on our own. Typically, our members will just procure it from the locals, you know, supporting small businesses and such. We do believe in it. So whenever you wake up, or if at any point you're hungry, I recommend heading out into the town. You've got tomorrow to prepare whatever provisions you may need. The townsfolk are, I'm sure, able to aid you in knowledge, in your case, may be of help. Looking at you, Eli.
Right. Very good, very good.
Any last questions before I wrap up for the night?
I need, where would I send a letter off to? Where would I, do you have a place here in town that I could do that?
Indeed, there's a courier service here. If
Wonderful.
You have a letter that you would like delivered, I'm actually going to be heading there myself. I can drop it off for you.
That would be quite the convenience. Give me roughly 5 to 10 minutes to get it written up.
Of course.
It won't be long.
That's fine. Get yourselves acquainted, write your letter, I'll be back in a few moments. And
Thank you.
He goes up the stairs.
Awesome.
Shutting the door behind you. You can hear his footsteps going up.
I could make a lot of bacon with the giant boar.
Eli, like, he just kind of plops down, pulls his bag out, gets some parchment out, and starts, like, pretty much writing a letter to Lilith, letting her know that, that he's reached Shayliz, and that he's met up with the other two. But then he also goes into telling her about this war that's been declared on the realm of the Ascended, and tells her to be careful. And then he'll sign it. It'll say, "With love, always, Eli."
XOXO Gossip Girl.
Kissy face.
Yep. All right. So, do me a favor, Kyle. At some point tonight or tomorrow, whenever, just write that up and send it over to me, just so I know the contents.
Okay, cool.
All right. So you write that up, wrap it up, and after another few minutes, Dallas comes back and takes the letter from you, and then pockets it and says, "Very well. Is there anything else that you need from me?"
Not from me, at least.
No.
Very well. Then in that case, get yourselves acquainted, get comfortable, and good night.
Good night, and thank you.
Hopefully by the end of this, I'll be thanking you. And he shuts the door and walks back down the stairs. So what are you guys up to?
I don't know, was it?
Yes.
Do you mind? Can I look at your knives?
Sure. I hop down and hand him all of my knives.
There's what, 6 of them?
Yeah. They're not double-bladed, they're just single-edged kitchen knives.
Yeah. So I want to just kind of like spread them out in front of me and just take a look at the quality of these things.
Sure. Make a intelligence check and add your proficiency to it.
Why intelligence?
Because you're trying to identify and things like that.
My background thing just lets me do this. I can assess the quality of a metal object from its color, feel, weight, and if I've worked with steel or brass sound. I can use knowledge to identify frauds, assess value, and I can care for crap too.
Okay, never mind the intelligence check then. Looking him over, they seem to be your standard, like, rusty iron kitchen knives. They definitely have not been well cared for. They are pretty dull in certain spots. There are a few nicks and chips you can see.
Is there a fireplace in this room?
There is not, being that you're in a giant tree.
Dang it.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't be so great.
Yeah, probably not, but I can hope.
Your scales are so much more shiny than Captain Alabar's. These have dulled with age.
Is Dragonborn? As I kind of like keep my distance away from the knives, as if like touching them will hurt me.
Oh yes, Captain Alabar. Yes, dragon.
So it's very interesting as I'm still distracted by the horrible knife.
It's silver. Silver-like knives.
Yeah, your knives aren't very silver though.
They're as silver as I have seen them.
Yeah, once I get access to a fire, do you mind if I fix them up just a little bit?
Sure. That's fine.
You can take them back now.
Okay. Like puts them all in his little thing that he keeps his knives in. His quiver, his flattened quiver of holding a bunch of knives.
I kind of shudder a little bit. At just how bad the knives are.
It's pretty bad.
The rest ensures that they die.
Is that so?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's not wrong.
It's not. It's just a lot longer of a process than just killing them right there.
Yeah. So you are from that fucking city, huh?
You seem to have good feelings towards it.
Many.
Well, can't say I have very good feelings to it right now either.
Oh, it's good you got away, though.
Only with a lot of help.
Oh, well, kind of same on my part, I think. But, not the same, probably, also.
Why are you there?
Business. Don't really like to talk about it. It was like 7 years ago. More. 7.
Hey, Arch, I know how long ago the mines blew up.
Hey, Neil, how long ago did the mines blow up? Because I don't have your backstory handy right now.
7.
Okay, 7 years ago.
I kind of stare at it for a second. That's very interesting.
Why?
That's one of those mine explosions I was talking about happened.
Oh, yeah.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, do we want to? Which one of those dire animals do we want to kill?
Oh, that is quite a good question.
I don't know. I like bacon, but I also like to impress people.
I don't particularly care about a bigger payday. Don't need money for much at the moment.
I mean, quite frankly, I just want to make sure that none of us are killed in this.
That makes sense.
I have a promise to keep, and quite frankly, a self-interest. I don't feel like dying from a dire creature.
Indeed, that would put you in dire straits.
Oh,
I shouldn't risk letting Captain Ilo down. But,
Captain
I
Ilo?
don't know. Captain Alabar. Not Captain Ilo.
Captain Ilo!
Captain Ilo. Maybe one day.
He has grand designs on his future.
There you go.
Sorry, not sorry, undead.
Boo.
So do we want to go after the dire boar then? That one's the easiest.
Fine.
I think
I
that would
don't
be
care.
a good starting point.
Don't want the old man to get mauled.
And then Isla can make us bacon.
I can make bacon.
That'll be a lot of bacon.
With
It will
hopefully
be a lot of bacon.
better knives than he has now.
Just don't go rushing into some foolish situation. But take a moment and think things through.
Yeah, no promises.
Okay, well, let me think them through and
Well, okay, that sounds better.
Yeah, I like that
we
plan.
can devise a strategy. If we are going to be in some sort of combat situation, I might actually need to dust off some old spells of mine. I'm going to rest for a bit and study. I have some old spells that I haven't quite used in a while.
And Eli is going to take he's going to unlace his boots, his shoes, and pull them off, and he's just like,
Oh, goodness, my feet.
and he kind of sits all of his stuff up nice, neat, organized, very OCD like, and he kind of just he lays in the bed with his arms crossed, with looks like he's thinking real hard. like and it's something like almost in like a pondering pose, and he goes into his trance.
Okay. What about you, the other two?
I'm gonna go exploring and try to find out where our rooms are.
We're in our room.
I thought we were still in the main hall.
No, you guys are in like a dormitory type thing.
No, I don't remember moving. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, we have fancy beds.
Yeah.
I must have missed that.
Onyx wasn't paying attention.
Nope.
Negative Bardic die.
I was too busy being abhorred by the knives.
A likely story.
Well, with the beds that suddenly appeared in my vision, and I didn't notice before this, I'm gonna jump in a bed and just go to sleep.
All right.
That's about fine for me too.
All right.
So just to clarify, I am preparing a different spell for the next few days.
That's fine. I trust you to do your wizard thing properly, and if you have questions, you can let me know, because I played a wizard for a very long time. With that, we're going to take a quick 5-minute pee break so that everyone can get up, stretch legs, and go use the restroom and whatnot. We will be back in like 5-10 minutes. So let's say be back here by... It's currently 2:16 a.m. Everyone be back here by 2:26 a.m.
All right.
That way we've got like half an hour we can wrap things up. All right.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be right back, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Woo!
And we're back. All right, so the three of you go to sleep, or meditation in Eli's case, and morning comes around. It is worth mentioning there are windows in here, so you can see outside. And you can already hear in the early morning that... you okay, Neil?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I accidentally started my bullshit again, my software.
Oh, okay. You can already hear that many of the locals are out and about. You can hear several merchants setting up shop, whether it be their own little stalls or just their own the stores themselves. So it's worth mentioning, with the way this town is set up, everything is built into the trees. There are dirt roads that kind of wind through the town between these trees, but there's no this is a block, this is a block, this is a block. It's just there are paths and there are trees with stores and houses and what have you interspersed.
It kind of integrated into the forest without...
It's like if you're playing
forest?
World
Correct.
of Warcraft and you're Alliance and you're running
Night
around
Elf
with
zone.
the elf, yeah. And you
Yeah.
run
Some of
across,
us haven't
there's
played WoW.
a single path, it curves through a bunch of trees, and
Listen,
there's
Kyle, I invited
some guy
you to
there
play.
that sells you things for WoW gold.
Yeah. You buy WoW Gold? $26.
And then he asks us to get him a boar tusk, which sounds like a lot what we're doing now.
Exactly. So what are you guys doing? It is morning. You basically have all of today, and then the day after is supposed to be the hunt.
What do we need to kill a boar?
I think I'm pretty much ready.
I have 6 knives. I think I can kill it, maybe, with those.
Yeah, about those. We should probably do something about them.
What if we set up some sort of trap for the creature that would catch it off guard, and then would allow our large dragon man here to, well, do what you do best, it seems.
Make weapons?
Well,
I could cook for it.
Mm-hmm. No. I thought you were going to cook it.
I mean, cook for it and then cook it. Well, to get it, to lure it.
Ah. Oh, I see what you're saying.
I mean, I'm not going to be the one running from it.
Oh, no. What if we set up some like a lure of of some sort, where we wouldn't have to be close.
Okay.
No, your cooking idea, that's not entirely off. We would find some sort of food or something to set on the trap, and once the beast approaches and ideally takes the bait, the trap is sprung, and then it's rendered helpless, and we can come in for the kill, essentially.
How do you intend on making this kind of trap?
I mean, well, I'm sure that there's a ranger or something of the like. There's bear traps and simple.
Callie says they use pea.
What?
Callie says they use pea to hunt on land to attract the thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who's Cal?
Friend.
Oh, okay.
Both
she familiar with
adventuring more so than me. Yes.
okay. Well, then maybe her word is better than.
I don't know.
I'm sure we can.
I've just got what other people have told me to go on.
I pretty much only have what I've read in books. I'm sure we could find some sort of hunting trap.
How many books have you read?
Oh, glad I couldn't even answer that question. Look, I am 711 years old, and I read multiple books a year, so I couldn't even imagine how many books that I've read. I've written several. Not that they've ever seen the light of day, but they're for my own enjoyment and research.
Oh. I will read them. I will read them.
I call myself the prof in that one, though.
I will read them on a condition.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't have them with me. They're back at home.
Well, you could teach me to read them.
Oh. Ilo, you don't know how to read?
I mean, not a lot of my kind do.
Oh.
And then boat, no place for reading on boats.
I will.
Not for our crew, anyways.
I will teach you how to read regardless of the situation. Well, as long as we survive this test.
Okay. That sounds fun, I guess. I don't know. I've never really had an interest in reading. I've always had someone tell me stories, Never had to go find them on my own.
Oh. You will be able to find so many more. So, I think we need... Oh. I do have one thing to help. It was one thing that I was told to bring, and I think it could help. And he starts to open his bag, and he pulls out the end of some rope. And he just kind of holds it up. I have rope, at least. I don't have a plan for it quite yet, but I'm sure it will come in handy.
Okay. Do you have, a knife to kill it with when you get it in the rope? What's your, knife plan? Do you have a knife plan?
And he kind of pats himself down. I seem to have misplaced my knives. But, it would appear that Zai here has quite the armament.
As you look at his glaive and pike both on his back.
Exactly. I think our first plan of action is to see if we can find, A, some bait, and B, some sort of hunting trap.
Okay.
So, who is going where? Are you all sticking together? Are you splitting up? How is this working?
I want to try to find a pig.
Just in the town somewhere?
Sure. Somewhere close.
Are you looking for, a wild pig, or are you just looking for, someone's, farm animal?
I'm going to find a pig, and I'm going to make it drink a lot until it pees, and then I'm going to collect that pee, and then that's going to be the bait that I use.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second.
Alo, before you go, let me see your knives again.
Okay.
Oh my.
He runs over and hands you his knives.
Okay. I'm gonna go do something with those.
Okay.
Are you just leaving with all of Ilo's knives?
Yeah.
Okay, Ilo, currently you are weaponless.
It's a new day. I'll disguise self again.
Okay, so you turn yourself back into a gnome.
I don't find a pig keys in an hour that I'm going to give up.
Zai is taking Ilo's weapons. What is Eli doing?
Eli will go in search of a hunting trap.
All right. All three of you roll me a d20 to see who's going first. Okay, I guess we're going with Zai first. So, Zai, what you doing? You walk out of the Adventures building, the Free Company building, and it's a new day. There are people about.
Well, I've met my fair share of blacksmiths. I know they don't really like sharing their forge. So I'm going to head towards the outskirts of town and build my own kind of temporary forge.
Okay.
Which I can do with my background thing as well.
Yep. So it should be noted that setting up a kind of portable forge does take time. It takes effort. You have to set up the proper kind of circle where you can maintain the fire.
I'm planning for this to take like all day.
It basically is going to be an all-day ordeal, setting up the forge, getting it hot enough, working on the blades. Okay. So throughout the course of a few hours, you manage to get a very hot and very stable supplemental forge fire. It's probably not going to be quite as effective as it would be if you were using like an actual forge. But it gets the job done for what you need to do. What are you doing?
I am taking these really crappy knives and kind of just heating them up so the rust melts off and reforming the blade, probably the duller than it was, but I can sharpen it up when I'm done, in order to remove all of the nicks and all the horribleness that these knives are. I'm almost just taking the lumps of metal out of the knives and just making new knives out of them.
All right. What kind of check would this be?
I would argue a strength check with proficiency because I'm using my blacksmith tools. And strength because it requires hammering and pulling.
I would agree to that. You're not doing anything that requires any intricate work. So, yeah. Let's go with that. So, strength check with proficiency.
So, 13 plus 2.
So, 15. All right. Yeah, it's not that hard for you. You've worked on knives that are probably in as bad a condition or worse before. So it doesn't take you too long to figure out how to work this with the portable forge. Get everything heated up, get it malleable, and cleanse it of the filth that is rust. And towards the end of the day, as the sun is beginning to set again, you've got 4 very keen, very well-kept looking daggers. Or knives, I should say. They are not double-bladed.
What about the other 2?
Which 2?
He had 6 of them.
Oh,
my little knives monster has 6 knives.
Yeah, you have 6 knives that are now in pristine condition.
Okay.
It should be noted that due to working with the metals and trying to like work it down and everything, there is a little bit of loss of material, obviously. It's negligible, but if such a thing were to continue, it would eventually need either an introduction of more of the iron material to keep it substantial, or it would probably weaken the blades.
But let's be honest, they're probably pretty big already on ILO.
Right.
They're like little swords for ILO. They have dagger stats.
Okay. I'll just remember to add more metal if I do this again. And
I mean, you probably wouldn't need it for the next time around, but if it were to continue, then it would eventually end up needing it.
I prefer to keep any metal I work with in a very pristine condition. No chance of it breaking on me.
Understandable.
And I will begin dismantling my forge, and then when I'm done with that, head back to the tree.
All right. In the meanwhile, since that's pretty much an all-day ordeal, so Eli, you are seeking what?
I'm looking for some sort of like ranger setup, like someone who would be selling, adventuring type gear, like some sort of survival gear.
Roll me a investigation. This is going to be a pretty easy check, so unless you royally fuck it up. Okay. 22, yeah. It's not very hard. Like, you walk out the door of the Adventurers Guild, and not even maybe, like, 3-4 stalls down, there is what appears to be a trapper displaying several of his wares. It appears to be a relatively young-looking wood elf. He's showing off several of, like, the smaller animals that he's bagged in recent ventures. Several raccoons, squirrels, a few rabbits.
So he will approach, and he probably won't say anything at first. He'll just kind of walk up, hands on it. He's got his cane right in front of him with both hands on it. And he's just kind of perusing.
See something you like, old man?
I'm looking for a trap. A big trap.
How big are we talking? Like, you're looking for, like, a deer trap? You're looking for something like a bear? I mean...
we're looking for something that will hold a dire boar. Something good and sturdy.
Ain't you a little past your prime to be going after something like that? No offense, but,
None taken. I know my age. But I am not going at this alone. And I am, we're trying to think this through. By no means am I going to go head-to-head with some dire creature. That would be a certain death wish that I do not have.
Well, if you want a trap, yeah, I got a few hunting traps I could probably turn one over to you. It's gonna cost you about 5 gold pieces, though.
May I see the trap first?
Yeah, of course. He rummages around behind his cart with all of his wares, and he comes out with what appears to be a circular... It looks like a vice with teeth. It's a bear trap.
Right.
It's a vice with teeth. There's a pressure plate in the center, and there's a chain on it that... It looks like it's about 3 feet of chain.
Okay. How does the condition look?
Make a investigation. Well then. It appears to be in pretty good condition. It looks like it's seen some use. There's a little bit of dried blood on it in a few spots.
Okay.
But other than that, seems serviceable.
Okay.
Appealing alarm. Thank you very much for the follow.
Oh, nice. You said about 3 feet of chain?
Correct. There's 3 feet of chain, and then it's a bear trap.
Okay.
This looks like it would work nicely. How do you have any more of this chain though?
Not so much. It's not really supposed to be going that far. You don't want your quarry kind of getting a running start and taking off with the trap and all that.
Right. What about like a spike or something to hold it down with?
Yeah, I got one of those. It's gonna be an extra silver piece.
Very well. Let me see here.
What else would he have? He's kind of now that he's there, he's just kind of like looking around to see if there's anything that would like spark an idea.
Well, right now the cart itself is just the stuff that he's bagged and caught.
Okay.
He's more just kind of showing you the stuff that he uses, his own equipment that he's willing to depart with.
Okay.
But you could try asking him.
Let's see. What would you suggest we use as as a professional? What would you use as bait? I have a small companion who has an idea, but unfortunately I don't know much of these things.
Okay. Well, for bait, you're going to probably want to use something like either some mushrooms, they like those, some berries maybe. If you got any rancid meat, they're really not that picky.
Interesting.
Supposing you're going to be taking the trap here, don't think you'd really need much else. I would recommend peppering it down with ranged abilities. You're not gonna, even with the 3-foot chain, you're not really going to want to get in into any sort of close proximity with the boar. Excuse me.
No, I don't plan on it.
You have a bow and arrow or something, old man? You kind of might want to...
I have a few little spells at my disposal.
You one of them spellcasting sorts. Okay.
Yes,
Well, I can tell you that fires particularly work useful against them.
Really? Oh, wonderful.
I
have a little bit of that.
It's the fur on their back and all that. It's not really well suited for fire.
Understandable. Very well. This seems wonderful. I think this will all do nicely. Let's see. I will. Is this where you set up shop on a regular basis?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm pretty regular around here.
Once we're done, I will bring this trap back to you. I don't need to purchase it for good. So I would be able to return it to you. I don't need a refund of any sorts. I'm just letting you know I won't need it for very long.
Well, once you buy it, it's yours. So you can do whatever the hell you want with it.
Maybe one of the companions will have better use, but I travel light.
Whatever you say.
The rancid meat or the berries. Is there any suggestions on where to get those?
He blinks it, like he gives you like this like confused blink, and then holds a finger up, points in like a full 360.
Ah, I see. Well, pardon me. I'm not. Well, pardon me. Here, let me get my coin purse for you.
All right, so you pay 5 gold and 1 silver piece.
Okay.
And he hands you the hunting trap as well as the spike for setting the trap.
Cool.
The hunting trap is in the PHB. It is a action to set it up. It's a sawtooth steel ring that snaps shut when a creature steps on the pressure plate. It's affixed by the heavy chain to the spike. A creature that steps on the plate has to succeed on a DC 13 dex save or take 1d4 piercing damage and they stop moving. After that, they can only move as far as the chain allows. And as an action, a creature that's trapped can make a DC 13 strength check to attempt to free itself. If it fails, however, it takes 1 piercing damage.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right. He will... he's going to take that trap back to the back to their room. He's gonna take that back first, and then he'll spend the next part of the day gathering the berries and the mushrooms and just the random assortment of things.
Sure.
Just in case something else doesn't. Okay. So I get +2 to that, and that's not great.
Indeed, it takes you pretty much the entirety of the rest of your day. You find a few berries and a few mushrooms here and there. Not a large amount. Like, the amount you find would probably be like a little snack for something like a dire boar.
Right. He's not. This is the first time he's done this. He's not good at it.
Well, understandable.
He keeps like getting dirty, and he's just like, ugh. He keeps like
dirt
cleaning. Yeah, he keeps cleaning himself like every time.
All right, so Ilo.
Hi.
Roll me a survival check to try to track down a pig. Looking around the town, there aren't any pigs in the town itself. The only real animals you see is like people's pets occasionally, like someone will be walking around with a bird or a dog, cat occasionally, wild cats.
Okay. Oh, goodness. I'm debating using those inspiration die. Yeah, I'll use those.
Use what?
Those inspiration dice?
Which one, the D12 or the D6? You can't stack them.
I know. I thought they were both the same.
No, because you have two different ones. You have one from Jess, that was the D6, and then Undead gave everybody a D12.
Oh, I only rolled a 6. Yeah, I'll roll the 12.
Okay, so Neil is using Undead's given D12.
Thank you for this one that I'm about to add to that 6.
When do you usually stream? Appealing Alarm, I stream this game, The Aranthea's Awakening, is every Sunday night at midnight EST. And we end at about 3 a.m. EST, so we're about to call it quits here. And then typically every night, usually around like midnight, 12:30, some accumulation of us will be streaming, playing something like Sea of Thieves, Overwatch, things like that.
Woohoo!
And that's most nights. That's a 9. Wow. All right, so that
Makes
turns it to a 15.
And also I'll mention that he would be keen to, like, the same thing with the mushroom that he found. Anything that looks edible, he'd probably pick up for himself.
All right, yeah. Wandering around, you find the occasional bit of what seems like something that's probably edible. So initially, looking around, you really don't see anything beyond people's pets. And then you get the brilliant idea, well, what if I look around the outskirts of the town where more wildlife would be? And indeed, it takes you a couple hours of searching, but eventually you do come across what appear to be some wild pigs, some wild boars. They're about your size, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna find a more kind of a less irritable one, if that makes sense. Just kind of one that's chilling, maybe not moving so much, more indifferent to anything that's going on.
Make an insight check.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, there's one that looks to be a bit smaller than the rest of them. Looks like the runt of the litter, so to speak, is just kind of hanging out. Looks like it's kind of nuzzling around in some shrubs, looking for some food.
Okay. I'm going to make a little hole in the dirt in front of it and empty my water skin into that hole and kind of try to get it to drink.
Make a animal handling check.
14.
Yeah, it's not that hard to convince. It looks like it was hungry and thirsty, so you pour out your water into this little hole, and the boar kind of cautiously approaches and starts to drink from it.
Okay. And then I wait for it to have to pee, and I collect that.
Okay.
And that's my gameplay.
Roll me a d4.
Okay.
And question, what are you collecting the pee in?
The water skin.
Okay. That's disgusting.
I mean, he'll throw it out and get a new one.
All right, so it takes you 3 hours of just following this boar around, which at this point the boar is just kind of like, what the fuck?
What is
Leave me
there are very anime style.
That's why it takes him so long to pee, is that he's got like that nervousness. There's people around.
Like in those very cutesy typical animes, like the boar will just run across the screen and disappear in some bushes, and Ilo runs behind him, like it's
carrying
like
his little bag.
It's like those little Scooby-Doo chase scenes. Like it's like. Yeah, and then it's just But after a couple hours of this, eventually the boar's like, I gotta go potty. And for some strange reason, this white lizard thing is collecting my pee.
This is quite a day for me.
Only in D&D can a kobold make a boar drink enough water to go pee and then collect the pee.
D&D is such a good game.
God, it's the best game.
Okay, I'm pretty satisfied.
Oh, God. I'm dead.
I
If
did
you're
exactly
still
what
here,
I-
please clip that.
I did exactly what I set out to do.
You did.
And I'm going to make Captain Isla proud with this one.
Captain
And
Alabar.
I'm going to... Captain Alabar, Captain Isla, fuck me. And I'm going to... I'm going to happily run back to town with my bag of piss. Hooray.
Oh, my God.
Oh my god.
Holy shit.
This was my day. What did you guys do?
Yeah, so nighttime comes around, the sun has set. You guys have seen Dallas just kind of out and about. It seems like he's been going about doing some chores and running some errands and whatnot. You haven't seen Madame Grish at all.
Good.
And you all re-adjourn in your temporary room in the Adventurers Guild.
I spread the knives out.
Are those my knives?
These
Oh
are
my.
your knives.
Oh,
I fixed them up a little bit.
they look wonderful. Thank you.
Are you-
Yours just looked real bad.
Are those even the same knives as earlier?
The handles are the same.
Yes, I see. That's
He,
quite fascinating.
he runs up and gives you a very small hug. He like hangs from your neck practically.
Oh.
I kind of awkwardly stand there and then pat him on the back of the head and then push him off me.
Hey Neil, why don't you roll for hugs?
Roll for it's probably not going to be a good hug. I am so small. Hugs charisma. Yeah.
Go for it. Yeah.
Why are you always so good at hugs no matter who you're playing?
Oh, that's so great.
Oh my God! All right, that's a pretty good hug.
That's a real good hug right
On
there.
a scale of 1 to hug, that is hug.
It's a little small, but it's good. Oh man. I got the pee. Yay.
Yeah. And then I push him off of me harder.
Ilo opens the bag and like smells it and dips a finger in and like puts it in his mouth, and he's like, I've got to kind of be able to press to digitize this. I'll be studying it, I guess. Ugh. And he kind of squishes his face up. He's like, we're probably going to need a lot of this smell.
Hey, Ilo,
Please.
do me a favor and make a Constitution saving throw.
Okay. 14.
You are but just barely able to resist vomiting in the middle of this room. Between the odor and then putting it in your mouth, just... It's a very unpleasant experience that you do not want to experience again.
Yeah, he's not having fun, but he needs to be able to press to digitize that, and that's kind of how he does that. So...
Please, Ilo, put that away.
Okay, yeah, I think I can recreate that.
Yeah, that's... yeah, I don't think I'm going to be forgetting that one anytime soon. I asked one of the rangers in town, and I don't know where you... He said something about the boars liking mushrooms and berries, so I got some of those as well.
Oh, I have some mushrooms. Oh, 3 mushrooms.
Oh, very good. And I have the trap with a spike over there in the corner.
That looks scary.
The ranger suggested that we try to pelt it with range attacks.
Oh. Okay.
He said that you do not want to get in close, at least not while the creature's conscious.
Luckily, my weapon's on the end of a really long stick.
Yes, that is quite great. Quite. They also said, he said that the, fire, they don't like fire either. Their fur is flammable, apparently. So if you can, if you have some sort of fire magic or something, that would be appropriate as well. I have a firebolt spell that I can throw at it.
I have a magic hand. I
have that too.
Woo! High five.
Mage hand high five. They just both in the air. There's no impact. It's just...
I press to digitize the sound of a
there you go.
thing. And then I have that. I can do that. I use that for snacks and food a lot.
I can do that as well. That's quite wonderful.
Nice. I use that to help me cook. I can find flavors and press to digitize flavors into things that I know and kind of... Anyways.
That's amazing. I've never thought of that before.
Yeah,
It's genius.
I can make you stop bleeding. Sometimes little bleedings. I have.
Is that what you're referring to? Is like some sort of healing spell?
Yes.
Oh, well, that will come in handy, I'm sure.
I can charm people, not pigs. Disguise, and then I have a kind of magic helper, kind of like Mage Hand, but does more things.
I have any sort of magic in nature. Have you ever noticed the little owl following me? That's Bartimaeus. He's my friend.
Oh.
And he just kind of does that little owl head twist thing.
It's pretty. Those can kill and eat me with how small we are.
He's quite small.
Okay.
He will not hurt you.
No, mine is not like an owl. It's just a dumb thing.
Is it the unseen servant by any chance?
I think that's what it was called. Yes, yes, that's what she taught me.
I am familiar with it. I don't have it in my book currently, but I am familiar with it.
That helps me cook. That's about all I use it for.
So far right now, what I have in this book that I brought with me is let's see, I have a spell that I can put people to sleep.
Ooh.
I can. Let's see. I have a spell that can protect someone from evil or good creatures, depending on which. Obviously, it would be an evil creature. I haven't used some of these spells in so long, and then, well, what kind of wizard wouldn't have a magic missile? And a very, very great one that I quite enjoy. It's a blast of color. It's color spray.
That sounds fun.
Oh, it is. And I have a few little minor tricks like dancing lights, and he just kind of it's like he just throws these little balls of light in the air, and they just kind of hover around.
Ooh, I clap.
with the mage hand, just one hand, mage hand.
And he'll just kind of snap his finger and extinguish the spell. That is what I bring to the table. Zai, what? I assume you are some sort of fighter or something.
Yeah, as you saw earlier, I'm good with metal. Make weapons, fix weapons, take care of them.
Ah, wonderful.
Also, you'd be right about fighter. Spent most of my life fighting with this thing, and I give my glaive just like a twirl in my hand.
Very nice. Well, I think we will. I think this will go off very nicely.
I mean, I think so. I've cut meat before. It's just moving this time. That's new.
Well, the idea is to make it not move as much now.
Well, I've cut moving things before too. That's a lie. Okay. But anyways.
He just kind of gets this, okay. You mean animals, of course, right? I'm sure that's what you meant.
That's a funny thing to call dwarves. Good joke. I liked it. I agree. High five. Rage hand high five.
I don't know if you're serious or if you're...
I don't either, and that concerns me. That was not in the backstory. Holy shit.
I know, have you killed people?
What?
Like people. Have you killed people before?
Animals, and he winks.
And on that silly joke, we're gonna call it for the night as the three of you acquaint yourselves with each other and prepare for tomorrow's endeavors to hunt down this supposed dangerous dire boar. Onyx, are we good on next Sunday? I recall there was at some
next
point.
Sunday's fine.
Okay. All right. So then in that case, let's go around and hear from everybody where we can find you and what you enjoyed about tonight's session. Again, let's start going from left to right. So Kyle, where can we find you? What'd you like?
You can find me here and on Twitter at RageQuitKyle. The quit is spelled a little dumb. It's KWIT. It is not RageWitKyle, as some have mistaken it. I am streaming a little bit here with the same name. I'm usually here streaming with Neil, Onyx, and Arch, and whoever else we're all playing with. The TLD
crew.
Yeah, the TLD crew. I think my favorite part tonight was was being out-olded by this damn lady.
What did you say? Crack.
God. That combine that with Undead's comment about the Duel of the Fates playing as we have a cane duel.
I love it. All right, Neil.
You can find me on Twitter at Bardic Martin. You can find me on Twitch at Bardic Martin. I'm also on the channel here doing all the things most of the time. You can find me on the Lucky Die podcast. That's about it. And my favorite part was the good joke that you told about dwarves.
I knew that was gonna be it.
Of course. And Onyx, how about you?
You can't really find me anywhere. You can occasionally find me on Twitter at OnyxTWE, and I show up on Archer's Twitch channel occasionally.
It's true.
He's a ghost.
Such is the way of the internet ghost.
Yeah. Let's see. My favorite part that I was there for was my amazing reaction to how awful Ilo's knives were.
They're all rusty and shit. Oh god, backing away slowly.
So nice now.
I can't. Ah.
And I think my favorite part, even though I wasn't there, was Ilo chasing after that boar for 3 hours.
God, that was good. That's my favorite part. As for myself, you can find me on here pretty much every single night. I'm typically streaming, playing either Sea of Thieves, Overwatch, or whatever other game that I decide to play with whoever is available at the time. Typically that's at midnight, 12:30 EST, because I am on the East Coast. Every Sunday night we're playing this Aranthea's Awakening, starting at midnight until roughly 3 a.m. I realize we went a little bit over, but I didn't want to end it on a really awkward note. You can find me on Twitter at arch_DND. You can also find me running the Lucky Die podcast Twitter, which is at TLDpod, where both myself and Neil are cast members on the Lucky Die podcast, which is a D&D 5e actual play podcast. Beyond that, I think that is pretty much it. In which case, thank you all very much for watching. Thank you very much. A big shout out to Jess and Undead for the generous donations and the Bard Extreme dice.
Yes. Thank you.
You helped me
Wrangle a board.
find P.
Yeah.
Yay.
You help. Undead, your dice has helped Ilo find P.
You made Ilo's day.
If that is not the best use of your money, I don't know what is.
I was considering it hard. I was like, man, it'd be so good. But I don't want to waste it.
No,
and we're going to fight a scary pig. I was like, oh, do I use it? Yeah, I do.
And these bardic dice will carry over to the next one. So don't worry about that.
Cool.
The overlay automatically saves what's viewed and whatnot. So that being said, thank you all very much, and we will see you all in the next one. Bye!
Bye.